Is there anything better than roast pork and apples? Personally, I think not. And there are so many varieties of roast, from the pork belly, roast leg, and also pork shoulder, which is one of my favourites too. Today I'm going to be doing roast pork loin, and this is a real premium cut. You've got that skin on the pork, a little bit of fat, and really lean meat in the centre. So if you've got quite a lot of guests coming over, it's actually a really great thing to put on because it's easy to prepare, and if you get a big piece like this, which is around 2.1 kilos, with a couple of instructions, it's very easy to cook in the oven. So to start with, we need to score our beautiful pork here, and I've got a Murray Valley pork. I'm just going to open that from the pack, take it out. We also want to pat it dry. So again, the typical rules when you're working with pork skin, really, really dry skin. So pat it dry, and using a box cutter, you can use a knife, but I find that this is quite sharp and gets straight through that skin. Now, when I'm using this box cutter, you can see I'm just through most of the fat, but not through to the meat. I don't want to go through to the meat because if you do that when it's cooking, what will happen is it will dry out. So just piercing that skin. Of course, be careful with your fingers. I've also preheated my oven. We want it to be a really hot oven to start with. So it's on 220 degrees, and it's just getting really hot at this stage. Last one, and there we have it. So much easier with one of these, good investment. So a touch of oil, just a dribble, because we want the salt to stick to this skin. So give it a little massage, just like so, and now we'll add the salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle on. Be generous with the salt. This is going to ensure we get that real crispy skin, which everyone wants when they have pork roast like this. In there with our hands and get into those cracks. Get that salt really worked in there. And we'll also just turn the pork over just quickly because we also want to season it. So just gather all that leftover salt, put it on the other side, and just massage also. All right, let's flip it over. While I'm flipping, I'm just going to curl it up so it's got that cylinder shape, and we can start tying it. The best way, get a big ball of twine like this. I'm going to pop it on the floor just so it's out of the way. And we're going to start from this side here. I want it to be really tight. So I get my thumb holding one side of it. We're going to tie this around the thumb twice and straight through the hole. And that'll ensure we get a nice tight first tie. See, very easy. And just pull that really tight, as tight as you can get it. And then all we do is just wrap this twine around your hand and just tuck it underneath the pork like so, and then just tighten it again. So once you've done the first one, you get the hang of it and you continue on. You just want about a thumb space in between each. So you just sort of calculate it like that and keep tying. So we're finally at the end, and we're just going to bring that string just underneath the pork like so, and that little bit that we started with at the beginning, we're just going to tie it to that. So I'll just cut that off here and tie that nice and firmly. Now look, if you didn't want to do this at home, of course you can ask your butcher to do it. It can be much easier, but you know, for the exercise, if you haven't done it before, you can see it's quite achievable. So next step, we need to bake this, and we've got this beautiful large piece of meat here, so I want to be able to cook it to perfection. So I like to place my pork loin into a rack like this. So instead of putting it on the base of a baking dish, by raising the pork just off, it'll cook evenly, so top and bottom. Of course, we're going to get that crispy skin. And for me, what I love to do, halfway through the cooking, I'm going to add some parsnips and the apples. And what will happen is there'll be a little bit of pork fat down there, and it's just going to give them such a lovely flavour. So first up, into the oven, we've got to get that skin crispy, 220 degrees for about 15 minutes, and then we'll continue cooking it at 180 degrees. So this pork has been cooking for 15, 20 minutes. You know, every pork's going to be a little bit different. This is what we want to hear. At this stage, you can see that it's just starting to bubble up on these sides, and you can hear that it's getting crunchy. So now, and this is the beautiful thing about having a rack, we're just going to quickly take it out and add our vegetables. And you can see all of this oil has gathered here, and that is going to cook our vegetables beautifully. So in with a parsnip. Of course you can add pumpkin, you can add potatoes if you like, but for me the combination of parsnip and 2 apples, and I've just quartered them. I'm going to pop that rack straight back in there. And I'm going to add some fennel seeds to this. I didn't add them before because I don't want them to burn. What I want them to do is just fall through the rack there and flavour those apples and the parsnip. So fennel seeds, apple just work in harmony together. All right, back into the oven, 45 minutes until that's perfectly cooked. So the pork is out of the oven. I've allowed it to rest in the tray just like this. It's not touching the base there, so there's air coming underneath and above it, so it's fine to rest there. And, I mean, I can't ever get a smile off my face when I hear the sound of perfect crackling. I think this is the best it's ever been, may I say, because it's just crunchy, all the fat's rendered off, it's just perfect. And when it looks this good, well, I just love to put it on a big platter like this and just serve it to everyone. You know, people need to see this when you bring it to the table like that. I mean, that reads to me feast. And our beautiful parsnips are cooked. I can smell those fennel seeds and those apples. I mean, they've just collapsed. It's almost, as soon as you bite into them, they're going to be all mushy. So it's like an instant apple sauce, if you like. So let's just get them. You know, the hero here is that pork. I think all you need is a little bit of hot English mustard, some Dijon mustard, even some horseradish. It is the ultimate. This is a brilliant dish for the whole family.